Good evening. It is Tuesday, July 8th, 2025 at 3:30 PM. We will call the meeting to order. Pam?
Here.
Motley,
Here.
Paulson,
Present.
Beyondich,
Present.
Bachschnider is absent, Friedlieb,
Here.
and Cuffey is absent.
We'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Moving to item number 4 is the public forum, limited to 5 minutes per council protocol. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to address the council this evening? Please turn the green button on and state your name for the record.
Greg Lindsay. I've been desperately waiting to bring some good news to the council, and tonight I think I can do that. I spent 4th of July evening at the 13th Street lift station till 3 o'clock in the morning with our city crew, because I wanted to see exactly what they saw and what they dealt with on a basis for a flood. So the takeaway I got from that was the timing that they enacted on Friday night to open the bypass valve was earlier than normal, but based on what the weather reports were and predicted for our area, I think they were really prudent in doing that. And it's basically a judgment call, and they have to be able to do that. So that happened first early, and then of course it rained probably about 4 hours, I think. And the pumps were in place, even though maybe people didn't see them initially. They were put in place later in the evening, and they weren't required because probably two things. The valve got opened early, so that preemptive move helped, and also the rain wasn't quite what it was predicted for our area, although it was significant in all areas around us. So to be able to, for those guys to be able to predict what's going to hit town, it'd be really difficult. So they acted, I think, with good judgment and did exactly what they needed to do. So that really ended up with a positive result. And I just wanted to briefly cover, some of the hardships that people went through, so other people that maybe didn't experience it will understand. So besides the financial issues that a lot of people dealt with, which are significant and ongoing, and I'm talking more than $10,000 in many cases for damages to those basements. Friday on the 4th of July, when I drove through town, there were basement lights on all over in that neighborhood of 10th Street and 13th Street. Basement lights were on. People were up at 2 in the morning in their kitchens, sitting around the dining room table. People were calling and texting, everybody. They disrupted their family plans. People were supposed to be at cabins with family. They came in because they were unsure what was going to happen in the basement. And, just the general uncertainty of what was going to happen was really disruptive to people besides the financial end of it. And I think I want to just say to the guys that were down there that, the city really has your back, and we understand exactly what you have to do and what's required. It's difficult to make those decisions as a young guy, as a lead guy, as the guys that I was with down there. But they have to know that they have that authority to make the decision, to make the call to do what needs to be done in the short term to prevent those basements from flooding. So specifically, the call to People Services is fine, as long as when they make the call, the guy's available, and I mean right now, not an hour from the time the guy makes the phone call. Because when our city guys call, it might be right on the edge. You know, they have maybe misjudged it or whatever. When they make the call, it's got to get open. So to ensure that that happens, I want to make sure that those guys understand and have a key and have the authority and the backing of the city and the citizens to go into that plant, which is our plant, open the gate and open the valve. I want those guys to know without a shadow of a doubt that they have the ability and the permission to go and do that. So on this, under committee reports, that's going to be K. I'd like to just have a little more discussion with some detail on what the city expects and the authority they're going to give those guys. So there's no question to those guys. And these are the lead guys that are going to have the boots on the ground. They need to know they have that ability to make the call completely without question. And the other thing I'd like to pull is B under committee reports. I'd just like to have somebody give us a little description about the CAT deal, the amount of money, and how we're going to get reimbursed. Just, I don't have to hobble back up here just so somebody makes comments on both of those issues would be really good. Because a lot of people don't know about the CAT thing because they were bailing sewage out of the basement probably. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lenzi. Is there anyone else that wishes to address the council this evening? If you could, just press the button to green and then just state your name for the record.
My name is John Pearsall. I'm a resident of Virginia at 7th Street and 7th Avenue, 9th Street South. I too would like to commend the city employees for their prompt and good action on Friday night. The outcome was much different than it was the Friday night previous. I think we should consider that as a blueprint for activities going forth in the future. I mean, the bypass was opened at 10:45, and the city crews were out there and the pumps were in place and as needed. Now, it turns out they weren't needed, but I think a large part of that was the fact that the bypass was opened earlier rather than later. And I have some comments here from Paul Christensen from People Service. He's talking about the flow is 10 times our normal flow when we have these big storms. No, there's no way that our plant can ever treat that kind of volume. We can never build a plant to treat that volume. So we either have to do a lagoon or 2 lagoons, 3 lagoons in the long run to bypass this water into these lagoons and then treat it as time permits when the situation resolves itself, the immediate flooding. But we have a natural lagoon in Manganika Lake, or otherwise known as 3 Mile Lake. And we have the wonderful, beautiful creek out there that leads right into it. And as long as the creek doesn't rise, we're in pretty good shape. So here's some more comments from Paul Christensen. He's talking about the time that it takes to get the bypass open. Now, they have 35 minutes for the employee to get out there, and it takes him, they say, 15 minutes to open that valve. It has to be opened manually, so it's going to take 15 to 20 minutes to open. Our operator is apparently also taking care of Aurora and some other communities also. So we have to have someone that is there to get this open as soon as possible. He also goes on to say that it takes 2 hours for all the water to work its way down to the system, to the plant. So we have 3 hours of heavy rain going on before our bypass gets opened. So I would ask this council to consider a resolution that authorizing some personnel of ours to open that bypass as soon as it starts raining on events when we have predicted 2 inches or more of rain, and we receive flood watches or flood warnings. The Weather Service has been pretty accurate. They aren't able to predict exactly where these storms are going to go, but they are accurate in when we're going to have floods, and then we have watches and warnings. And I think we proved that last Friday, and I would ask the council to consider a resolution authorizing our personnel to open that bypass as soon as it starts raining. So when this water starts coming down the pike, those pipes are open and they're not clogged up with water from backing up all the way from the plant into the city. And as Greg said, we cannot have this anymore. We are difficult for people. We're costing them tens of thousands of dollars of damages, untold misery, and we cannot spend the rest of our summers sitting by our basements waiting for them to flood. Now, the city has some easy answers right in front of them to try. Now, it may not be perfect, and it may not work all the time, but it's certainly an effort that's worth trying. And it's better than sitting here like we were last 2 weeks ago with our hands up in the air and our mouths open going, we've done all we can, we were overwhelmed. The city needs to do something to help their citizens. And it has to be done now immediately. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pearsall. Is there anyone else that would like to address the council this evening? Seeing none, we will proceed then to the item number 5, which is the consent agenda. A motion will be made to approve the consent agenda as listed. The following items will be enacted by one motion unless a counselor or citizen of the City of Virginia requests that the item be considered separately. Item 5.1, approval, correction of the minutes of June 24th, 2025. Item 5.2, adoption of finance resolution number 25-013, schedule of bills. 5.3, approve the following pay estimates. A, pay estimate number 1 to Mesabi Bituminous in the amount of $203,409.65 for the 2025 pavement reconditioning project. Item B, pay estimate 8 to Casper Construction in the amount of $179,134.19 for the 2023 street, should that be 2023, Pam? Yes, 2023, street improvement project 10th and 13th. Item C, pay estimate number 6 to Mesabi Bituminous in the amount of $65,660.67 for the 2025 pavement reconditioning project between 6th and 17th. Item D, pay estimate number 2 to Casper Construction in the amount of $63,894.91 for the Rotary Park and 7th Street Sewer Project. Item E, pay estimate number 2 to Utility Systems of America in the amount of $617,610.35 for the 2024 Street Improvement Alley Project. Pay estimate item number F, pay estimate number 2 to KGM Contractors in the amount of $649,300.30 for the 2023 street and infrastructure improvements between 14th and 20th, Southern Drive and Chestnut Street. And item 5.4, approve the one-day transient merchant license for Jack Preventure, DBA Fat Jack's Concessions, contingent upon receipt of required documentation. With that, I'm looking for a motion.
I'll move the approval of the,
Moved by
Consent
Counselor
agenda.
Friedlieb. Is there support? Supported by Counselor Beyondich. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 6, we do not have anyone scheduled to appear before the council, correct? Okay. So item number 7, under unfinished business, we have no unfinished business. Moving to item 8, under discussion items. 8.1, adopt the resolution for the issuance, sale, and delivery of $570,000 GO tax increment bonds 2025B series.
So moved.
Moved by Counselor Johnson. Is there support?
Support.
Supported by Counselor Motley. Any further discussion? Pam?
Thank you. Mayor, Vice Mayor Paulson. Just a note, on your desk, I did put, there was one change in the resolution, the red line. So that was just one minute change on the original.
Okay, do we need to amend or just knowing that
I
we're
amended
accepting
it.
it that way? Okay. Okay, is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 8.2 is adopt the resolution to hire the Community Resource Officer Elijah Wright.
So moved.
Moved by Counselor Johnson, supported by Counselor Friedlieb. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 8.3, adopt the resolution ordering the removal of a hazardous building located at 217 3rd Street South, Virginia, with a parcel code number of 090-0010-11890.
So moved.
Moved by Counselor Friedlieb, supported by Counselor Johnson. Is there any further discussion? Counselor Friedlieb.
Is this something that will be done by city crew, or is this something that's going to be done by a contractor?
Brett?
Hope it's going to be done by the property owner, but
Oh,
I suspect this will be going to court. So this is just their notice that they need to do something with it, and then we'll proceed.
the demolition would be done by the property owner?
Supposed to be.
Oh,
There was a fire there a
Yeah.
couple weeks ago.
okay.
Very dangerous structure, actually.
Thank you.
So more to come forward at another point in time. Okay, so is there any further discussion based upon that? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion carries. And we will move to the committee reports, number 9, and turn the meeting over to Britt C. Bennis, our city administrator.
Thank you. At the committee meeting on July 1st, we had Paul Christensen from People Service available to discuss the wastewater treatment plant and questions regarding wastewater operations that pertain to flooding situations. We had a lengthy discussion regarding that matter, and thank you, Mr. Lency, for giving us some kudos for Friday. We are trying, and we have heard you. We do appreciate that. After the discussion, it was moved and supported to direct the Public Works Director and the City Engineer of Record to contact the regulatory agencies to potentially increase the size and length of the sanitary sewer line output.
So moved.
Moved by Counselor Motley. Is there support? Is there support? Supported by Counselor Johnson. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Nancy Andrews, the Chair of the Mesabi Humane Society, and Carly Gobetz, a board member of the Mesabi Humane Society, were present to discuss the invoice we had received for June 2025 for a very large dollar amount. It was discussed regarding the animals, the processing of animals, and the $600 per animal fee. They did state that it was noted that the animals some of these animals came from 2 houses that were tax forfeited, so which are under the control of the county. So subsequent motions relate to that. The first motion is to approve the payment of the invoice for Mesabi Humane Society in the amount of $37,200, because our next motion will talk about how we're going to try to recoup that cost back.
Okay, looking for a motion for item B.
I'll move to approve.
Approved by Counselor Motley. Is there support?
Work for discussion.
Supported by Counselor Friedlieb. For further discussion, Counselor Friedlieb.
Britt, did we not budget accordingly for this potential expense?
Not for this bill, no. We budgeted about $45,000 for the whole year, and this expense at $32,000 is going to eat up.
Was the $45,000 accepted by Mesabi?
No,
So,
you recall, we were in negotiations with them, and they kept asking for a
but that's what I'm saying. So we have this money budgeted, but it hadn't been accepted.
correct. So they're charging us $600 per animal. And at this meeting, we discussed that because these animals came from a essentially vacant house that is tax forfeit, which is managed by St. Louis County, that the county should be participating in this expense, because they're the ones responsible for making sure those houses are boarded up, are secured, are safe. And obviously, somebody missed that there was a plethora of cats in both these houses.
But this does not exceed what we had preliminarily budgeted.
It will, it's only July. So
Oh, well,
if this happens again, we might,
but we've paid for other $600
nothing this
costs.
big, yeah, nothing this large.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Friedlieb. Counselor Johnson.
Thank you. I will not be supporting the payment of this bill. One of my challenges is that they took in cats that were pregnant. The cats birthed while in their care, and that increased significantly the number of cats they had. I don't think it's appropriate for us to be paying that much for that. And I'll speak to this at this point because it's also another reason why I'm voting no. So around properties that are owned by the county right now, you'll see a little sign out front of it, and if you don't have time to stop, this is what it says. This property is state-owned tax-exempt property managed by St. Louis County Land and Minerals Department. Due to the outcome of the Tyler versus Hennepin County Supreme Court case, in conjunction with the state of Minnesota legal and legislative changes, the St. Louis County Land and Minerals Department will no longer provide most physical management processes on tax forfeited lands. These include, but are not limited to, lawn mowing, abandoned personal property removal, hazardous and asbestos-containing material investigations and remediation, demolition, vehicle towing. Land and Minerals acknowledges municipalities may take steps they feel are necessary to uphold their local code and ordinance on state of Minnesota forfeit properties. St. Louis County will not reimburse municipalities, public and private parties, or other entities for any labor or other expenditures on these lands. Please contact St. Louis County Land and Minerals Department for further information and to report blight or long grass complaints. 218-726-2606 or land department at stlouiscountymin.gov. And those are posted at all of their properties that they are caretaking, for lack of a better word. So I don't anticipate us being able to recover $34,000. I also see that they're going to say no based on that. And I don't want to see us spending $34,000 in litigation costs to recover $34,000. So at this time, I will not be supporting that payment. I think that because it's such a huge cost, I think that the Mesabi Humane Society should be willing to negotiate a more acceptable cost that takes into account that many of those cats were born to them and that this was something beyond anybody's control. So I will not be supporting this. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Counselor Johnson, and thank you for reading the, is that on all the signage of the tax forfeit property in fine print?
Yes, I can tell you there's a tax forfeit property on the corner of 8th and 3rd, and they're posted at all of the ones that they're keeping track of. And that's where I took that picture. So it's just their county policy at this point, I'm guessing.
So we have a very small to no chance of recovering.
I don't have a legal opinion on that. I'm going by on what the county has posted at these spots.
And Britt, is this something, I know we moved this forward from the committee of the whole, and I brought this forward because I just was shocked at the amount. But if the city doesn't necessarily, I would like a legal opinion, but it sounds to me after hearing that language, we might not have a recourse.
You know, and maybe it would be appropriate to table it again. And, you know, we do have the ability to contact our county commissioners, which we should. You know, let's go right to the top and say, this is ridiculous. You know, this is an invoice of a property that you are in charge of.
Okay, so do you recommend moving forward? I mean, I
think we table it, at least till the next committee of the whole, and then we can talk about it some more.
Okay. And then what I would like to do, no one else's lights are on. Oh, Counselor Motley.
Just one quick question. Did we ever find out what we're obligated to pay for state statute as a city? There's no price tag? Okay. Okay, thank you, Mayor.
Thank you for that, Counselor Motley. What I would like to do, we'll wait till a motion is made, but I would like to see this, a broader discussion regarding what our agreement was. I'd like a copy of that agreement. And then I know the Humane Society board members were here to discuss that it's not just the expense of spaying and neutering the pets, but at $600, like Counselor Johnson is saying, and a lot of these, at least I think there were 2 or 3 that had 5 kittens and were being charged $600 per kitten that isn't even old enough to be spayed and neutered, but they did clarify that that wasn't the total expense. There's food and shelter, but I feel like we do need to have a broader conversation about that. So I guess there is no motion on the floor, correct, at this? There is a motion to approve the payment, so we'll move forward on that.
Ms. Mayor, I'll make a motion to table this until the next committee of the whole.
Okay, Counselor Motley makes a motion to table. There is supported by Counselor Johnson. All those in favor for tabling signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries to table. And that was, just for clarification, that was to the next committee of the whole meeting? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Britt.
Thank you. The next item is the Submit the Mesabi Humane Society invoice St. Louis County requesting reimbursement.
Counselor Johnson.
I would make a motion that we do that anyway. Let's take a double-pronged approach to this, that we do submit that prior to us paying it, so I will move to submit it.
Okay, moved by Counselor Johnson to approve that and supported by Counselor Motley. Is there any further discussion regarding this? Hearing and seeing none. Oh, Counselor Friedlieb.
So do we, so what you read essentially is saying that St. Louis County they own and or control these properties, but are telling the world that they're neglecting them. And then this is what can happen. The cost can be incurred by the municipality that has it sitting there. Are we incurring costs beyond that? Like, are we mowing? Are we weed whacking?
Yes.
Yeah, and are we getting reimbursed by the county for that then?
Probably, I don't know, that's a good question. This year I haven't been following the invoices. We do invoice them. They often don't pay it because they tell us it's tax forfeit.
Yeah,
So
but it's theirs.
it's theirs.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Friedlieb. Okay, did we vote yet? No, we didn't. Okay, any more discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Mr. Matt Reeder, City Engineer of Record, was present to discuss the change orders for the 2025 pavement reconditioning project and the Rotary Park Sanitary Sewer Line and 7th Street Storm Sewer Line project. Reed noted that in both projects, there are project contingency funds available to cover the cost of these change orders, so we're still within budget of the projects. Reed noted that the 11th Street South one was done because it was one of the worst streets he's ever seen, and the concrete underneath the blacktop looked like gravel, so we had to do a little bit of a change order there to get that back into driving condition. It was moved and supported to approve resolution for change order number 1 for the 2025 pavement reconditioning project at an increase of $9,997.82.
So moved.
Moved by Counselor Johnson. Is there support? Supported by Counselor Beyondich. Any further discussion? Counselor Beyondich.
Did we receive the balance in that contingency fund?
I just sent it to you.
Okay,
But I
thank
can
you.
tell you what it is right now. If you bear with me 1 second here.
Thank you.
Find it here. And just all the projects we have going on right now, this is the only project that has gone into the contingency so far. So excited with the Public Safety Center, all the street projects, I should say. The balance remaining in that one is, the contingency amount was 300, no, not that one.
Is this the overlay or the
Yeah,
7th
it's the
Street?
overlay one. I'm trying to read it here quickly. We originally budgeted 400,000. We adjusted the budget to 480,000, and we've spent so far to 150,000. We're well under the budget for that one. Yeah, the contingency. Yeah, and we also, just a point of matter too, we did receive money from FEMA to pay for a portion of this project. So that's extra money we weren't counting into the budget. We weren't expecting to get it. So there's extra money there too.
Thank you, Counselor Beyondich. Okay, so it's been moved and supported. Any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
It was moved and supported to approve the resolution for change order number 1 for the Rotary Park Sanitary Sewer Project and 7th Street Storm Sewer Line increase for an increase of $11,739.80.
So moved.
Moved by Counselor Johnson. Is there support? supported by Counselor Friedlieb. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries.
We discussed the installation of the sidewalks at 8.5 Street South, particularly on the 500 block, I believe, of 8.5 Street South. We had discussion regarding replacement of the sidewalks due to the retaining walls that were there and a couple of the other unique structures, I should say, along those sidewalks. After discussion, it was moved and supported to allow Matt Reed, SEH engineer, to obtain the cost of installing the sidewalks on both sides of the 8.5 Street South for discussion at the meeting. And Pam, did you include that in the packet, the change order? Yeah. It's in there.
So moved.
Moved by Counselor Johnson, and then who supported? Counselor,
He motioned, I
oh, sorry. What happens when I put my head down? Moved by Counselor Friedlieb, supported by Counselor Johnson. Any further discussion on this?
The project increase was $23,598.
Yep, the amount is, let's clarify, $23,598. Counselor Johnson.
And the contingency for that is $560,000 according to the
So we're
chart.
well
So
within the
there's
contingency.
just a small percentage.
Okay, and I just wanted to add that I was contacted by one of the residents specifically about this, and we were able to catch it in time, and it does appear that the contractor honored his original bid. So I appreciate that the contractor did that, and I feel the residents are going to be happy that the sidewalks are going back in, because most of those slope down, and it would have been pretty difficult with erosion. So thank you for looking into that, Matt Reed, and to the contractor for holding the bid. Okay, so it's been moved and supported. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
The council reviewed the resolution regarding the increase of public works equipment and rental rates. It was moved and supported to approve that resolution, increasing those fees.
So moved.
Support.
Moved by Counselor Johnson, supported by Counselor Friedlieb. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
We reviewed the resolution allowing for the IRRB to provide more additional funding for our existing downtown revitalization program, specifically to be used for businesses who need funding for their steam conversion. Thus, the resolution is to apply for and accept funds from the DIRR for Phase 6A of the Economic Development Assistance Program for the steam conversions.
So moved.
Moved by Counselor Beyondich, supported by Counselor Johnson. Is there any further discussion? I do have an item that I will be abstaining from the vote. Just potentially, my business might be applying at some point. Okay, any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And I will abstain. Motion carries.
We had received word that we have been approved for an MPCA grant for the PFAS and PMP pollution minimization plan investigation, and the resolution to award that, or to approve that, authorizing us to assign the grant agreement and accept funds is in your packet.
So moved.
Moved by Counselor Johnson, supported by
Support.
Counselor Motley. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And right behind that, it was moved and supported to approve the request from People Service for the assistance we need regarding the community PFAS source identification and reduction efforts, and to enter into an agreement for that work.
So moved.
Support.
Moved by Counselor Motley, supported by Counselor Johnson. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Had a discussion regarding the pumps being used at different areas in town to help the city with flooding during heavy rain. The Public Works Director, it was suggested by Mr. Lindsay, the Public Works Director, could go to the plant and open the bypass, and the pumps would monitor the sanitary sewer level. After much more discussion, it was moved and supported to direct the Public Works Director, Jim Rossford, to set up pumps when necessary to mitigate the issues at lift stations during storms.
Vice Mayor,
Counselor Friedlieb.
would it be timely now to consider the suggested motion made by Mr. Pearsall to authorize city staff to have the authority to do the bypass when weather reports indicate potential rains that could cause flooding in town?
I think that would be very appropriate.
So moved.
And so how do we want to craft that? Britt, do you want to help us with that crafting?
Maybe we approve this motion with the addition to allow staff to also open the bypass valve when needed.
Correct.
Okay, so Pam, do you want to read that? I just want to make sure we've got everything that we need to have covered in this motion.
Moved by, who's supporting that?
There's no support
Okay.
yet. Is there support? Should I do that first? You want to read the
To
motion?
direct the Public Works Director to set up pumps when necessary to mitigate the issues at the lift stations during rainstorms and to allow staff to open the bypass when necessary.
Support for discussion.
Supported by Counselor Motley for discussion.
I feel like they've always had the ability to open it, so I feel like we're just reiterating something that's already been. Do we need to emphasize, Mr. Pearsall says 2 inches and flooding, or is, like, they've always had the ability to open it, so I don't, do we have to justify and say whenever it says flooding plus 2+ inches of rain, or are we just reiterating that they have the support to open it during rainstorms without reiterating what a rainstorm is?
Counselor
I guess after the discussions that we had previously, why didn't they open the bypass? And I guess it's like because of the MPCA regulations that don't allow them to until a certain amount of gallons are passing through there or whatever. I guess that's what I was confused about. Why weren't they authorized to take the initiative to do it on their own? What was holding them back from doing so? And if that was the fact that they didn't have authorization from the city council to do so, then that's what we should do, is make sure they know we support them in making that decision, especially when there's potential for upwards of 2 inches of rain.
Did this council take away the ability to open the bypass
Bypass
before I
is at the
started?
wastewater treatment plant, and so we have a
Right.
contract with people service, so we don't enter the wastewater treatment plant because that's not our domain.
Until they
Now,
give us,
now we're giving them permission. So normally we would just call them and say, you need to open the bypass.
okay.
My understanding is this motion is saying that they can go open the bypass. They're going to step on to wastewater treatment property and they're going to open the
This
bypass.
is an improvement.
It's an improvement.
Perfect, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Motley. Counselor Johnson.
Thank you. I'm still not comfortable supporting this, simply because what happened this Friday and what happened the Friday before and the Monday before and a year ago are not the same. They are not the same amount of water. They are not the same timeframes. Mr. Christensen was very meticulous in explaining that even when there's the possibility of a potential rainfall, they get someone there before the need for flooding or anything like, any of that happens. I think we are micromanaging not only our business now, but somebody else's business. And I think that they have this under control. I think that our staff are professional and use their judgment the best they can. I will not be supporting this level of detail when it comes to authorizing our department heads and their employees to take action, because any number of other mitigating circumstances could occur. There could be something else that's happening. And again, I feel like this is just a way for something goes wrong to find the blame as opposed to finding the solution. So I will not be supporting this, as I believe that they already have that directive.
Thank you, Counselor Johnson. Any further, Counselor Beyondich?
Could you clarify that? Do they have the authority to do that?
No. We've given the people, the wastewater treatment plant facility to people service. Our staff doesn't usually go to wastewater treatment plant unless we have to for some reason.
Is that plant the City of Virginia's plant?
It is, but we have a contract with people service that they are in charge of it.
So are we breaking that contract
I don't think so.
by going in? Can we phone Mr. Lindsay and get a legal opinion on this? Is he available?
No, he's in a meeting right now. But I think this is, it's our building, it is our
building.
bypass. So we need to clarify that when we say bypass, you bypass. If you're not gonna be able to get there, we're going there to bypass. I mean,
Okay,
that's kind of what, the gist of what I'm getting at, what everybody's trying to say.
so we are not in legal trouble with the contract,
No.
is what I'm asking.
No.
No?
Mr. Christensen's a part of our team. He was here with us the other day. I think he'd be acceptable to
And he stated that his employees could take,
up to 35 minutes, whereas we're already in town, so it's,
is this something that would be discussed with them?
absolutely.
So when we give this authority for staff to go in, People Services is aware of it. And they have been called when that bypass needs to be opened? People
Absolutely.
Service,
They have to be, yes.
okay, thank you.
Counselor Friedlieb?
Yeah, the intent is like, it's a peace of mind authorization because like Greg alluded to, and I'm one of those residents that has PTSD. When it started raining and we were up at the lake, we're like, oh my God, we better be in town. And it's like, you're right, we shouldn't have to feel that way. And so the intent is to provide that initiative for whoever is on call that day to not take 30 minutes to get there, but to take a few minutes to get there and have authorization that's supported by all of us to go ahead and do what needs to be done. That's the intent and purpose of this.
Thank you for that. Counselor Motley?
Just food, I'm thinking as people are talking, when did People Service, I guess it was before I got on the council, when did People Services take over where we didn't have the ability to do the bypass ourselves without permission?
When I was here, NTS was running the facility previously, since 99. So for as long as I know, we've never had staff down at the plant.
Okay,
We've always contracted it out.
okay, I'm just curious. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you for that, Counselor Motley. So in talking to previous staff, we have in the past opened the bypass valve. So they have had the ability to do that, even in spite of the People Service contract. I feel that this is very important to reiterate for peace of mind. But when our Public Works Director was here, and I don't know which meeting it was at, it was already stated that all 4 of his guys could do the bypass. It was stated that that could be already done. So again, to me, this is a little bit conflicting, but we need to get it right now in case another rain event happens. So I'm definitely supporting this, but even more so, Britt, I would like the original question that I had emailed to Paul at People Services, and I believe our Public Works Director and Paul had a conversation, and I included Matt in that email. With the original question I had asked is I wanted a pathway or a plan. And I hear what Counselor Johnson is saying regarding different conditions or whatever. I mean, there are different conditions that are happening, but I would like to see the 3 of them, when Paul Christensen said, we'd love to work together as a team, I would like a team effort to come before the next, I don't know if it's the next committee of the whole meeting, to come up with an actual plan. If the and I can't remember what it was called, the well level is at X amount of feet, and I think it was at 1,000, and I don't know if that's feet or, excuse me, it might be flow. It's the flow. The wet well. I'm sorry, I don't know all this. No, I feel like they said it's 1,000, I feel like is what I was told. That the alarm will go off at the plant. Yep, so that's the level. And our city staff does not have, People Service has that alarm on there. It's an app on their phone that our city staff does not have or have access to. So I want a plan so that there can be complete communication between city staff and People Services. And I don't really care who goes to the plant to open the bypass. this is what level will automatically trigger. Somebody goes down to the plant and opens the bypass. And that's really what I was looking at, and I appreciate us passing this tonight. But when I asked for that information, I still don't feel that there has been a complete plan put forward. Because say somebody retires or somebody leaves or whatever, we need to have a pathway that new employees follow. Like, this is what we do in the city of Virginia when we have a rain event. So I would like to see that come forward, and I know there's a motion on the floor, but there's more to this from where I was coming from with my original discussion at the last two meetings. So maybe after this, I will step down and make a motion to have the three of them meet and discuss a pathway and I would say a protocol, and I feel like that's might be what you're
looking
asking
for is a protocol of what when we're going to bypass and why. You know, is it going to be, we know we're going to be getting torrential rain down, storm of, so many inches before the well even fills, we want to open the bypass. I mean, so I think there's different things that we want to talk about. So the protocol is a better word. I like that word a lot better.
So and then I would also wanted a pathway, like if we need to do lagoons or whatever, I mean, I want a
That's
pathway.
that stormwater study that tells you in there from $37,000 to $37 million, the pathway we need to do.
Okay,
So the council now needs to decide, what do you guys want to do?
so I would like to put that on our next committee of the whole as a discussion item. And I don't know if People Services needs to come during that meeting, or if the three of them need to meet and then come to us and say, here's what our recommendations are. But I don't want to be on the side of, I'm having to go investigate, I'm having to go ask questions. I don't know anything about storm sewer or sanitary sewer, or why one runs into the other, or how long the pipes are, or what the flow should be, or when the bypass should happen. That's not my job as a city councilor. So I've taken all this time to do that with the expectation that there would be a plan put forward by the professionals that we pay. So that's what I would expect to happen. I'm happy to pass this now, but this to me is just giving authority. We need a protocol in place and a plan and a pathway. So didn't mean to go on, but that's really what I would like to see happen. So I guess I don't know if there's any further discussion. Counselor Friedlieb?
If there's any hesitancy, it would be that, the MPCA certainly does not, nor any of the residents, like to have raw sewage like bypassed out into the environment, obviously. So, I mean, if there was hesitancy on the part of People Serve or the city employees to open the valve, it was because of whatever regulations they had to abide by. And I don't know I don't know that data. He said there's like about 1,000 gallons, what did he say, or 1 million gallons a day that's usually treated, but it was 10 million gallons at that point in time, so obviously you can open it. But if we're opening it up when there's only going to be 2,000, then we might potentially, the unintended consequence, we could get fined for that. I don't know.
Right.
That's my only
That's where the
concern.
employees are saying, are you going to now discipline me if we get slapped with a fine because I was being cautious and I opened the valve?
Right. We need to know that data, I guess, so that they're
That's the
confident
reassurance
in
they're
doing
looking
what they
for,
need
is
to
that the
do.
council is telling you right now, until we figure this all out, open the valve. That's,
Right. I mean, somebody told me that, like, I think it was that first Monday when we got that torrential rain, like at some point it was coming down and somebody saw like a city truck zipping down south on 6th Avenue at like 65 miles an hour. And they're like, they must be heading down to open the bypass valve a little bit too late is what they told me. So, I mean, those are the kinds of things that have happened, which resulted in us having sewage in our basements. So in any event, I just want our employees to have the authorization from us as a governing body to be able to do what needs to be done to avoid this happening again. And the potential consequence could be that we get fined by the MPCA and then we deal with that as such.
Thank you, Counselor Freely. Counselor Beyondich? Oh, are you? Okay. Counselor Johnson?
Pam, will you read back the specific motion one more time, please?
To direct Public Works Director to set pumps Set up humps when necessary to mitigate the issues at the lift stations during rainstorms to allow staff to open the bypass when necessary.
I appreciate the point of view that the staff feel like they're going to get in trouble, and that's not at all what's supposed to be happening. Councilor Paulson, you said specifically that, you know, this isn't your area of expertise, mine either. And I can understand why our staff would want a direct motion from this body to support them should they have to make a hard decision. From that perspective, I guess I will support this because of the staff the council will support the staff. I don't want people to make decisions and then have fingers pointed at them in the future, because that takes away their autonomy and their professionalism. So based on that portion, I'm going to support this. I do think it continues to be redundant. I do think that our staff do what they need to do when it needs to happen. I wrote down a lot of those statistics that Mr. Christensen shared. The one that stuck with me the most was that we went from 900 gallons a minute to 12,000 gallons a minute, and that's where the meters top off. So we have no idea exactly how much was flowing, and that happened in approximately 15 minutes. I think that I guess I would also like to see that this maybe comes to Buildings and Grounds as a subcommittee meeting before we have a 3-hour discussion in this room with everybody and get some facts and some statistics laid out and some something like that. So when we come here, there's options that we can look at without spending 3 hours here having discussion where it's back and forth as opposed to a table discussion. So in light of that, I will support this so the staff feels supported, and then definitely supportive of us coming forward with a plan once, especially now that we have the smoke testing happening and all those other steps we've already been approved for months ago, grants that we applied for a long time ago that are now we've been awarded and will be using. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Johnson. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. And with that, I'm going to step down, Britt, if I might. And I would like to make a motion to have city staff, along with people services, work toward a protocol and a pathway. So I would say a protocol for bypass opening and a pathway for future mitigation.
Support.
So moved by Counselor Paulson, supported by Counselor Beyondich. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
And
Item, I think, L.
jump a page or two. Mr. Brian Silver, Park and Recreation Director, was present to discuss the golf course netting that was proposed along 11th Avenue in the golf course side. It was moved and supported to invite the residents in the area of the golf course that are suffering damage to their homes to attend a future Buildings and Grounds meeting.
Looking for a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Moved by Counselor Johnson, supported by Counselor Friedlieb. Any further discussion? Counselor Johnson.
What day did we choose? Didn't we pick a day?
We did pick the 22nd, but we have a public hearing that day at 4 o'clock, so maybe we should look at a different date.
Okay.
That's okay.
The Buildings and Ground Committee will get another day and we'll get it advertised as soon as possible so folks can plan to be there.
Thank you for that and good luck, and I hope you get good discussion and figure out a potential good solution to that problem. Thank you. So there is a motion and support, and any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Committee for the finance director and HR coordinator interviews. We appointed counselors Bachschneider, Friedlieb, and Johnson for the interview committees for the finance director and HR coordinator
So
position.
moved.
Moved by Counselor Beyondich, supported by Counselor Motley. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries.
Further items from that meeting.
Thank you, Britt. Okay, on to item 10, commission liaison reports. Is there any commission liaison that wishes to give a report this evening? Counselor Beyondich.
I don't have much of a report. I did have to step away early last night from planning and zoning, so a lot of good discussion, but I'll let Jenny finish that as I left before the meeting was done.
Thank you, Jenny.
Thank you. Yep, we did have a Planning and Zoning Commission meeting last night. We had no public hearings to discuss, so no variances or conditional uses. However, we did have a healthy discussion on ordinance amendments, specifically pertaining to signs. Recently, I would say within the past several years, Planning and Zoning and Council have been approving signs larger than what ordinance allows. And when that happens, we want to look at ordinance changes so that we don't have to have people coming in for unnecessary variances. So that's was the gist of the discussion. We also did set a public hearing for a rezoning request that council had moved back to planning and zoning to set that public hearing, and that will be at our August 8th planning and zoning meeting. I think that was about it. And we are also always still looking for new members. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenny. Okay, anyone else with a report? Okay, moving to item number 11, department head reports. Department head, Jenny, does that maybe cover your report? Okay. Pam, anything? Nope. Britt? Okay, and Jody, Jody's here. Come on up, Jody. My library director, Jody Grabanowski.
Good evening, everyone. So summer reading is in full swing. If you haven't picked up your scavenger hunt for Chestnut, you still have another week, a week from today. Many businesses are participating. We've had a lot of great returns, and there's still time to do your summer reading booklet. It doesn't end until the end of July. But the reason I'm here today is it is a big week at the library. Tomorrow, the Northern Lights, the kids' music is coming to the library, and their concert is at 11, and that's always a lot of fun. It's good practice for them before they go do their performance. But our big draw this week, of course, is Big Truck Week. That is on Thursday, and this is just a reminder that the street in front of the library will be closed, as will the parking lot, because we have multiple vehicles coming, there's food trucks, there'll be games out for the kids, so if you're around the library on Thursday morning, beware, parking will be a little more difficult, and there'll be lots of people. So, and then on Friday, we have our chalk obstacle course, and if you want to come to the library on Saturday, we have block free play at 10:30, so that should be fun. And then we have a full month, so just one of the things next week, Great Gatsby turns 100 this year, and so next week is pretty much dedicated to adults or anybody else who wants to come in. We're having Art Deco crafts, and we're having a speakeasy on Friday afternoon, and yes, you can dress up anytime during that week. I think staff have outfits picked out for the whole week. The book club they are, of course, read The Great Gatsby. If you haven't read it and you want to come and see why people like it or don't like it, please join us. They're showing the movie next week. All of this is on our website. If you have any questions, please give us a call at 218-748-7525. Stop by the library, pick up your calendar. Like I said, there's almost something going on every day in July. So, and then if you are I know we've had a lot of questions about this. We are doing the escape room. It is in August. And the theme is Save Princess Peach.
Thank you, Jody. Those are awesome events for this month. Appreciate it. Okay, so it looks like that is that for the department head reports. Item number 12, council reports. Is there any counselor that wishes to give a report this evening? Counselor Motley.
I wanted to extend a thank you to Dave Dinko and all volunteers involved on the completed ATV trail from Virginia North towards Britt. I had the pleasure of hopping on that last week. It's pretty fantastic. So if anybody wants to go north out of Virginia, hit the trail by Komatsu. Be careful crossing Highway 53. Thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing none, we will, item 13, we will adjourn until Tuesday, the July 22nd, 2025, at 5:30 PM in the council chambers. We are adjourned.